Hey guys, welcome back to Surreal Beauty. I'm Tiffany and I'm super excited because as I'm taking you guys on my journey with completing grad school and getting my licensure in clinical mental health, I am also focusing on my research with healing the father wound. I think that has a nice ring to it. But yes, guys, I'm gonna start opening up not just about my journey with school, but also how healing has been going, what that looks like, and I'm just gonna take a deeper dive with y'all on how that's been going. Stay tuned. So healing the father wound, what does that look like? I really want to dive into what this personally looks like. And if you guys didn't watch my video before, I just talk about how this is something that I realized with healing the father wound. This is something I realized as an adult, that this has been one of my traumas. And I think that it's something important that needs to have some focus and in my terms research. So I am in school, and one of the opportunities I'm going to have this upcoming semester is to do a research and potentially present that at a conference. And so I'm really excited because I really wanted to think about what is something that I feel super passionate for. What is something that really just I can get in front of a crowd of people and not really feel nervous to talk, right? It's always something that's cool when it relates to you personally, but also you can also share with other people. And I think like growing up in a single parent household is something that's common, unfortunately common, especially like in our society today. I am a product of a single household, coming from a single household, upbringing, and I want to really talk about just how challenging that's been. And now that I'm older, now that I have a little bit more education behind my belt, more understanding, I can see now a lot of the insecurities and the questions that I had early on. It all is starting to make sense as to why I suffered, why I just didn't get it, why I was so frustrated, why I just was, just missing the mark. I just felt like I was really behind, and I just always felt as though I was being attacked. And the message that I really want to send, truly at the core, is love. At the end of the day, love heals all wounds, and that's what I'm about. And so I wanted to talk about what has it been like growing up without a father. How has that impacted a lot of the decisions that I've made, not just in my personal life, but in my professional life? How has that hindered me maybe in the types of partners I sought out or lack thereof? And so I can honestly remember early on, maybe like, 5 to 8 years old. I can't actually remember if there was a moment where I pondered on, I want my dad to be here, I want my dad to be here. But I definitely, the thought of, who is he? Kind of like this question mark was there and it floated around. That definitely happened. There was never no dire need to let me go find who he is. Let me do like a DNA test. And nor was there like this anger, rage that I had like built up in me. I will say my mom never had anything positive to say about him. So any of the negative messages or what she had to say about him was kind of what I knew, and they weren't positive. But again, never once did I think that this was something that would affect me. I just thought other people, maybe other people need their dads, but not me. It's not going to affect me, no shape or form. I just really thought I was bionic. Girl, please. So I noticed that as I was getting older, I started to feel a void. There was definitely a sense of emptiness within. I always like felt less than. I felt insecure. I felt like I didn't have a strong sense of self, identity, or purpose. I didn't really feel like I mattered. And then when it came to just like how I viewed myself in relation to men, I just really objectified myself. And I'll honestly kind of touch on where that came from, because that has like a whole nother reason as to why. I will save y'all, I promise. But I definitely had like a weak image, a poor self-image. I didn't really like myself. I didn't really love myself. I think part of that was coming of a family of 6. I'm very tall. I am a tall woman. I do come from a family of tall people, but I definitely was the tallest. Now, information I know now is that my dad is also tall. So he actually looked more, or I rather looked more like him than anyone else, like I guess compared to my mom. We had a lot more in common, as I started to realize after the fact. But yeah, so growing up, I just did not like myself. I just did not feel like I was worthy of love. At some point, I learned that I was just not worthy of anything positive, especially love in my life. And that definitely dictated how I showed up in the world. It definitely dictated how I allowed people to treat me. And I just never stood up for myself. I just had a weak, a weak sense of self. And that carried on until I just had to wake up and say to myself, you know, you can't keep going like this. You can't keep living like this. Like, this is very unhealthy. So I'm growing up, searching for love in all the wrong places, looking for attention. I mean, I did go to school, right? School is cool, they say. I did sports. Sports is pretty cool. But this was the thing, right? Again, how I said I was tall. I'm 6'3". As I was growing up, I was always the tallest person. So as a female, I definitely did get teased because it's not typical for females to be tall. So I was very insecure about that. My mom was always shorter than me, so her words didn't really weigh much because she'd always be like, oh, just love yourself, you know, but words and then teaching someone how to do something are like two different things. And then again, my mom was always shorter than me, so I just felt like, I don't look like you. You're not helping me. Had I had my dad to just like, I guess maybe just even seeing him, if his presence was there, it would have programmed into my mind like, you know, this is where you come from, you belong somewhere. But because that was not the case, I just always felt unfit, very marginalized, like I just did not belong. Like I just always felt like an outsider. It was a very uncomfortable feeling, I'll tell you. And I think up until this day, I just don't fit in. And you know what? I love it. But when I was younger, I absolutely hated it. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be like all the other females, just blend right in with the crew. I could never blend right in. I could never feel like I belonged. I just never felt like I fit. And for me, what I just said, this has been the core issue or the core wound for my father healing, for sure. Looking for love in all the wrong places. I mean, I did sports. I was blessed with the opportunity to go to University of Miami. I did sports. I excelled in school, did really well, but still it was never good enough. I always felt like I wanted someone to make proud. Like I just felt like I was never good enough for my mom. Like I had my other siblings that she favored more, so she never really would show up for my track meets. It was like kind of like, okay, cool. I noticed that a lot of like my high school and in college years when I was competing and stuff and traveling, I received a lot more love and affection from like the competitors' parents and not my own. So that was tough. Not being able to see your family in the stands when you look over, to, you know, have that memorial, like, I guess that moment or experience of just like sense of accomplishment and like you did it or feeling proud. Like I think those moments didn't happen. They happened with my coach and like my teammates, don't get me wrong, but I was looking for that love and validation from my parents. And with my mom not really being available, my dad just completely being absent, I didn't receive that as much. So any award or medal that I ever won, I never felt the excitement, like the long lasting excitement. I just still always felt empty. I just still feel like it wasn't good enough. So at one point I decided like, I don't know, like let me go find myself. Let me go soul searching. And when I did do that, I started to invite undesirable energies and people into my life, searching for something that I thought I wanted, looking for it, you know. So I found myself on the other side of the country. I'm on the East Coast, but at this time I was on the West Coast. Never been there. Traveled to the west side of the country. I just wanted to find myself explore. And with doing that, I started to meet people, but one person in particular that I guess when I look back at it now, I looked at this person as someone that I can like, oh, I can make this person proud. I can do what this person says that I should do and make them happy. Yeah. I almost kind of made this person like my father figure. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I started to follow his ways and kind of take his lead, and what he said I should do was what I did. And then and before I knew it, I became this person, and I was becoming a woman that I truly knew didn't align with who I was inside. And so there I was subjecting myself, and that's part of like how I got involved in the adult industry through meeting this person. And then also really when it comes to relationships and how I viewed myself, like less worthy of love, like how I said a bit earlier, I also felt like I was only worthy of being objectified sexually to men. I thought that was my only word to men. Looking for love in all the wrong places will definitely get you killed. And that is not funny. I'm just laughing because that literally happened. And then I know it happens. It's just not something to joke about. I hate that I even laughed. But yeah, so I definitely found myself wanting to follow this person's lead. I guess it was nice to have a guy's attention. And so it was just like what he said, okay, cool, he was older than me. That was another thing. Like I noticed the types of partners and types of guys that I sought out were guys that were older. Guys that, were definitely like 15 plus years older than me. And I'm not knocking anyone who's dating anyone older than them. I just noticed for myself, that was one thing that I noticed definitely. I definitely wanted guys that were much, much older. I cringed at the thought of the guy being my age. Didn't feel right. So here I was, running around, fooling around with this guy or whatever. And then I get involved in the adult industry. I talk about a little bit of this also in my earlier videos, but it won't hurt for me to touch on it for some newcomers, and I'll delve more into that. If you'd like to hear more of my story, just comment below. I'd love to share it. I just don't know how deep I should go in this series with that. But anyways, so I found myself wanting to please this man, and if I objectify myself, boom, boom, boom. And honestly, this is where now when I look back, I think to myself like, wow, girl, like, you've come a long way. But at the time, in some odd, strange way, I thought that subjecting myself to that world was cool. I was making money. I was independent, right? So like that's like self-sufficient. Like I found the purpose. I got the bag. That's what life's about, right? And then again, when I did do those things, I just wasn't really fulfilled within. And that and that journey again, I published and I put out my book, The Birth to Treasure. That was the debut of my ever writing books in history ever. Definitely check it out on my website, Surreal Beauty. Link is below, by the way. But in that book, as I was writing, like I'm in this world, in this realm, I'm meeting other women who have been turned out into this industry. And I started to like listen and talk to them and be observant, ask questions. And I started to learn a lot. And what I learned about a lot of those women, in some way, shape, or form, they were sexually assaulted in some way, shape, or form. Exploited in some way, shape, or form. The more I started to realize how much hurt and pain. Now, I'm not saying every single woman that's in that field has been traumatized. I'm not. What I am saying is that a great deal of those women are. And I was able to connect the dots and start to realize like a lot of these women, a lot of these women need help. They need love. They want love. Like they're seeking and they're looking for that. And that was one of the biggest things that I noticed. I just had to like kind of switch lightings and stuff like that. But yes, a lot of these girls or women were definitely looking for love, in need of love, even if they weren't deliberately saying like, hey, I need love, just like having conversation with them and just hearing like just to found like the original story of how they got caught up into in the adult industry and just how it led them to where they were at that moment. It's signaled to me, okay, this person didn't have love, this person didn't have their father, this person didn't even have their father or mother, and now this is where like you're meeting people of different backgrounds. I mean, I've met females not just Caucasian or African American, Russian, Asian, just like all different backgrounds and walks of life. It was really pretty cool. It was, and I won't lie, it was nice to see women use this industry to almost kind of take some power back, right? A lot of women were abused or just had their power taken from them. And so this was one of their ways of getting their power back. And then making money is obviously empowering. You have some women who use the money to like start like businesses, open up, like opportunities like that for others, buy homes, property, real estate, all that great stuff. But core of healing, because that's what we're talking about, a lot of these women were broken. I realized I was broken. So now I'm in this world, right? And before I'm going to bed at night, I'm just writing and I'm journaling. I'm journaling my experiences, just journaling. Journal is my best friend. You will hear me talk about it a lot. And actually, as a clinician, I encourage my clients to journal, self-reflect, because you can only say so much even to a therapist before the time's up. But what I learned with writing things down allowed my mind to tap into such a realm, the subconscious realm, where a lot of the information and narrative is stored there. So as I'm writing, I'm free flowing and it's just coming down on paper. It can be a very high, intense, experience emotionally wise, because there was definitely a lot of tears that were shed as things were coming to me mentally. As I'm writing it down, I'm pouring it down, I'm pouring out my heart on paper and learning like, wow, Tiffany, like you are so broken. Look how far you've gone down the rabbit hole. Look how far you've gone to just look for validation and love. You didn't think you were good enough. And I think that there was one moment, and I talk about this in the book, but the type of situation I was in a lineup. So I worked in like the whole brothel and I did the whole experience. And there was a moment like when, let's say, suitors came in, we would all line up, all the girls would line up, and we would be in bikinis, all lingerie, all different types of outfits. And I remember thinking to myself as I'm lining up, like, is this like what I've subjected myself to? Is this all that I can offer in my life? And the answer was no. So shortly after I published a book, I left, the industry. And, in that moment, even after I left, it was like a mind fuck. Okay, I didn't want to curse. I don't want to curse, but I curse in my real life. So it's like, fine, let me just be authentic. But yeah, it definitely was, because I left that industry because I realized, like, you know what? I no longer need to subject myself to this. You know what I'm saying? And there's a whole lot of rules and stuff like that that come with that lifestyle, but I no longer wanted to subject myself to that. And I was better than that. So I left, packed up my stuff, moved back to the East Coast. And I told myself, I'm going to heal. I'm just going to abstain from anything that does not serve me or my well-being, and just focus on what's good and what's best for Tiffany at the core of who she really is, and not who I think I am. Who you think you are and who you really are. Yeah, just two different people. So who I really am, I am this person who is passionate about learning. I'm passionate about change. I'm passionate about overcoming obstacles and hurdles. I love the idea of winning. And when I say winning, I don't just mean like beating the competitor. Winning meaning I am better than the person that I was yesterday. The hurdle that hindered me yesterday is no longer hindering me today. I am better today. This is who I strive to be, and I want to pass this along to anyone who's willing to receive it, you know. And I think the beauty in a lot of the stuff while I'm venturing on this journey of healing, as you all are as well, taking my power back. And this is not to feel shame about what was in the past. It's about stepping out of that victim into the victor role. And it feels great. It feels empowering. And there's a lot more positivity in this realm. And so guys, I'm going to be sharing a lot more of how this experience shaped me, you know, with the absence of a father figure and things like that. But again, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them below. Until next time, bye guys.